So I think I met Lewis when you were working, well he still is, in Food for Thought. And he is the most helpful person, so if you live anywhere near Guildford, go to Food for Thought and he will show you everything that's vegan, anything that's new in. He was absolutely awesome. And we've done some activism with Anonymous for the Voiceless together, and Lewis said to me, at your next event, can I speak? And I was like, yeah, I guess so, we can fit you in. So he's gone from being vegan comrade, which sounded a bit offensive,
a bit too communist, so I had to sort of
bit aggressive.
The playing field a bit.
So you are now
bona fide vegan.
Bona fide vegan. So I will hand over to Lewis, who will talk about his subject today and leave him any Q&A. And yeah, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. So this is the first time I've done public speaking like this in about 2 years or so forgive me if I'm a bit nervous or stuffed over, but I'll get straight to the point on what this is all about. So yeah, top 5 tips for effective vegan advocacy. So this is focused mainly on face-to-face activism. But again, the same principles apply if you want to go to other areas of veganism, so the whole food aspect of things is just as important. So I'll go into the next bit. So when you think of... Keep going. So, yeah, when you...
Can you speak up a little bit, because people at the back can't hear.
Okay. Cool. Right. So, when you think of vegan advocacy, hands up if you think it looks something like this. Cool. How about something more like this? Food style things. So the general gist of what I'm getting at here is that it's more or less everything, whether it's cosmetics, art, that's really the whole side of it. So I'd say step 1 is the outreach, speaking to people, but now more than ever you need to make it easy for people to get into veganism and make that bridge, much more accessible. And when you get into that way of doing it, then it just becomes more easy too. So, yeah, again, tip number 5 really that I'd go into is finding your style of activism. So, again, outreach can be quite daunting for a lot of people when you have to face, aggressive members of the public, and totally understandable if you don't want to go into that side of it. So, again, if you want to do the food side, 100% go for that, because that's just as important in providing the solutions to people to go into it fully. Tip number 4, let's say, is balancing real-world activism with social media activism. So, when we go into that, I see a lot of activists are using social media too much or too little, and the real sweet spot is to focus on quality posts over quantity posts, and you want to create something that's quick, snappy, and to the point where they can actually, see something that's really going to stand out. So, yeah, when you see a lot of these social media posts, in this day and age we've got lots of noise coming into it, it's more important now more than ever to actually have something that's going to advocate the vegan message in an honest light. And when you can see people, videoing yourself now that it's 2018, it conveys your passion behind the message, shows you more honest light, and if they can see that you're happy and healthy, then again it gets the message through much more authentically. So yeah, you're going to have to deal with trolls, like no question. Social media is just an absolute hype for this type of thing, but engaging with the trolls in an honest way where you can actually move on, speak to them, deal with them, people are going to see that, and you can just continue going forward. Just brush the dirt off your shoulders, keep on going, and yeah, the trolls will just, it won't even be an issue, just keep on going. So I'll go into my tip number 3, which is being vegan for the animals first and foremost, because you could be vegan, say, for health reasons and environmentals, and it's an okay first step, but when you're vegan for the animals, it covers all bases, because someone who's vegan for their health might still buy products tested on animals, they might still buy leather. So vegan for the animals and putting yourself in the eyes of that. Anyone who's seen has anyone here done iAnimal, the VR headset, hands up, because it's, that's really, really powerful. If you haven't, I strongly recommend doing that, because it's the one time, maybe in your life, just a small gap, just put yourself in their perspective, and you can see what's just happening down the street, and then, again, put yourself in their shoes, and that's a really, really powerful thing, to put yourself in the victim's perspective. So, yeah, again, it's really what it's about is connecting people with their core empathy to animals. And this is highlighted really well in this book called Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs and Wear Cows, and it pretty much takes you to the step of, when we first started, through our childhood, through social conditioning, we've got to a point where we've been psychically numb to think it's normal to do this. And the one thing I've seen the most through activism is you see people out there, you see families and kids wanting to stop to see what's happening to the animals. Because at this point in their lives, they're still seeing happy cows in the field, free range and stuff like that. But, the real truth behind it, and, parents are going to want to continually drag them away because, again, the parents might be at a point where they're so bought into it's just the way things are, they're not quite going to, they're still going to have those defences up to actually opening up to see what it's really about. So it can be a really hard thing to come to terms with. Again, we're in a society filled with apathy, and it's one of those things that I've been thinking about a lot lately. But there are ways to get around it, and again, just through talking to activists, there's so many different ways. One of the best ways I'd say is the Socratic method, so not judging, controlling, but trying to get people to, go vegan on the spot. You just want to get them to think about it, weigh up the options, and then through that, Socratic questioning is absolutely king in this regard. So when you can ask them questions, give them space to think about, what happened to the point of their childhood when they cared about animals, to the point where they're at now where it's become normal to contribute to animal suffering. That's the real sweet spot. And again, you want to give them space to think. It's so key to let them have that moment to reflect at all the points in their life that led up to that point. So a really good thing is if you've tried all of this and they're still very apathetic, like, doesn't really matter, then one thing, there's a really good animal rights activist called Josh Arentis, this little vegan. A recent post he made, he was saying, if the person just completely doesn't care, you can ask them, when did you stop caring? And it just gives them that space to think back to their childhood when they maybe were hugging animals, like in that image before. So, yeah, tip number 2, and again, this can be a real hard one, but have fun in every interaction, which again, given the serious nature of this topic, is such a difficult thing to do because it can really weigh you down, this stuff, but you want to have this ability to shift from logic into funny and back into logic again. Because when people are laughing and are at ease, they're more inclined. And this quote again, I saw this about a week ago, and again, it's that feeling of, a vegan who's at ease, at laughter, but they can still advocate in the right way. Then they're still going to be there to, open up to the idea a bit more. So honestly, check out Humane Hancock. He's one of the best I've seen it doing this. He has this way of getting people to open up, be at ease, and through that, given the serious nature of the topic, then he moves in with the ethics, and you see that golden silence when people really think about it a lot more. So yeah, my number 1 rule really is to put myself in their shoes of the non-vegan. What would make veganism appealing in their eyes? And when I saw, bodybuilders, all this food that you really didn't have to change that much at all. You could still have all of these things. And I previously bought into the myth that you needed, sorry, nervousness kicking in there. I bought into the myth that you still needed, animal protein to have healthy muscle mass, or, milk for calcium. But again, all of these things, seeing these vegan bodybuilders, that sparked my curiosity, and I was like, okay, clearly that's not the case. These guys are still living happy, healthy lives. And then through that, actually started looking into, okay, why are these people doing it? And then once you get exposed to what's happening inside slaughterhouses and farms, that's when you, again, begin to see what these people are all about. And that's one of the coolest things, is these people are more at ease with their health, but then they kind of move in with the ethics aspect. And a lot of these bodybuilders, when you ask them why they're vegan, they have their own journeys, and they usually relate to the animals first and foremost. So, yeah, it's one of those things where, say, if prior to being vegan, we all know the stereotype of vegans, like skinny, angry, just like pushing, and it's one of those things where I can totally understand that drive. It's when you first go vegan, you're so frustrated at the world that this violence could even be happening. But again, I can remember eating a Five Guys cheeseburger, seeing a really, it was a group of vegans. I could see them, shouting shame at me, and I was just like, I'm not putting this cheeseburger down. I don't want to be like that. And it further encouraged this divide between us. And it was only through, seeing these happy, healthy people that I was like, okay, it doesn't have to be the case. You can actually speak to them as a person and realise that your core values are care for animals is always there, and it's just as important to do that. So yeah, again, this is the image I had with a lot of vegans prior to going vegan. And it's only through seeing what actually happens that I can see, that can totally be the case. It doesn't have to be an animal broccoli. So I guess, with these 5 tips at hand, I just want to ask, everyone here, what are we going to do to inspire pre-vegans? Cool, thank you. Any questions?
I love it. I've never thought about when did you stop caring? Because people say all the time in the street, I don't care. I never thought of that. That's a very good point. When did you stop caring?
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
And that's through the more you do face-to-face activism.
Yeah.
Obviously, you expose yourself to these blind spots, and you can learn all these things through watching the animal rights activists' videos. I say doing the animal rights and the outreach is the workout, and earthling it is the protein, something like that. But again, it's something you implement only through going out and doing it loads and consistently that you can build up. Because 90% of it is just getting out of your own way and then just connecting with that person. But yeah, when did you stop caring? It's so key, because you see it with kids all the time. Almost every single kid innately has care for animals. And that book, Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs and Wear Cows, that book just goes into it so well. So if there's anything to take away, read that book. It really cemented my view of how I do things. But, yeah.
Do you find that there's more pushback now around vegan being fashionable, or do people say to you when you talk to them about being vegan that, oh, are you just doing that because it's it's trending? Yeah.
If people are talking about it from the fashion regard, they say yeah, that's a good thing. And it's that shift from logic into funny. So you can laugh about them or talk about all these cool vegan fashion brands, but then through that conversation start talking about, okay, why are they doing it to begin with, and then you can tie it back to the animals, because it's always going to be that first and foremost. Cool. Any other questions? Tom?
What inspired you to go vegan?
It was Brian Turner, who's an American vegan bodybuilder, and at the time I was just procrastinating on YouTube, as we all do, and I was just thinking, okay, I saw it in a little link. I was like, vegan bodybuilder, just as healthy as meat eater, and I was like, And at that time I was so bought into all of the myths that we'd been brought up with social conditioning, that you need to use animal products. And at the time I was working at a butcher. At the time I was so bought into it, I was actually planning on becoming a hunter because I thought that was the right way to do things. And then once I saw his video, I was like, it really was like taking a red pill. It really was like, okay, what the hell have I just been brought up with for 21 years of my life? And through that video, when he explained why he did it for the animals and such, I was like, okay, that really switched me on. And it was through seeing, again, stuff like iAnimal, what happens inside the farms and slaughterhouses, that I was like, I made that connection. And yeah, it's a really tough pill to swallow, but once you do go through that, you just can't turn back. And the next few days, I was still eating animal products, and I just, I realized this isn't a thing. This is either someone or someone that's been exploited. So yeah, it was just that red pill basically that got me to make the change over 2 to 3 days.
You said you were going to be a hunter, did you say?
Yeah, I was planning on it because I believed that was the right thing to do. Yeah. Hunt my own animals to kill them, because I thought that was the right thing to do at the time.
Yeah, it's more honest to do that rather than...
Yeah, I mean, I was working at a butcher at the time as well. I was so bought into the idea of mainstream society that it has to be done. And then once, I went vegan pretty much over the course of 2 to 3 days, I pretty much quit my job straight there and there, and I was like, I'm not doing this. You know what I mean? We've been fed a lie that for like so much of the greater part of our lives.
What wild animals could you hunt in this country anyway? I'm not sure. What? Because the deer. Yeah, but most of the deer are protected, aren't they?
Yeah. Again, like it's one of those things. The origin. It's just I was like, 19, 20 thinking about it, so I hadn't quite thought it out. But I'd listened to like podcasts and I thought, oh, that's the right. I bought into humane, organic, and Happy Egg Company stuff that we see in the supermarkets all the time.
Happy eggs. Happy
Yeah,
eggs.
yeah, So, yeah, it was just yeah. When you think about hunting in that regard, that you needed to do it, I was so bought into this idea that you needed to, go primal or even ketone stuff like that. But yeah, it was just the massive red pill, not from just what the animals are going through, but the health aspect and environmental too, that just all cemented it together. Yeah.
What's your view on people when they say you're not vegan if you're not an activist? What's your view on that? Because I've heard it a few times.
Well, like I was saying right at the beginning, if you're at least doing something, whether it's like advocating it through like the actual solutions to step 2, so doing vegan products and services, that's just as important. So if you could do that too, that's cool. I think now don't be what's called a quote-unquote closet vegan. Don't hide from speaking about it, because put yourself through what the animals are going through. Like, just really see it from their perspective, and then through that it will give you the courage to step up, because you might be worried about breaking social taboos and such, but realise that fear of breaking a social taboo is absolutely nothing compared to what an animal's going through. So again, it's...
I'm just putting it as if someone's posting loads of stuff up on Instagram, but they're not out there outreaching.
Yeah.
People are calling them, you're not a vegan if you're not an activist.
For the people that are posting those on social media, I think it's really important to make quality posts again. Don't jump so much into, just spamming. Don't fall into the shame and judgment category. That's going to push people and further divide you. You want to inspire them. You want to make it easy and accessible, and you want to, say have vegan food, because food is a language in of itself. It can entertain that idea much better. So there are much better ways to do it. But if you can do activism, if you are starting out, you don't even have to engage with people through Anonymous with the Voiceless. You can actually, it's like you're just standing there wearing a mask, and it's the people on outreach that might have to deal with the heat of it for the most part of the time. So just standing there, that's half the job. That's really important too. So there's loads of ways to go about it, basically. Any other questions?
I have a friend who she's disabled to an extent because she had a terrible bike accident, and she actually can't stand for very long, so she does a lot on social media. That is her means of communication. She's very, very active, and everybody's got their own thing, their own way of doing it, either street or internet.
Just continue doing what you can.
Whatever.
Yeah, because if you don't have that ability to say go out there on the streets, there's so many other options, and we're really just at the beginning of veganism as far as the products and services. The fact that we're still in a place like this, when we walk outside in the streets today, you're still going to be surrounded by animal products and cruelty everywhere, and that's a hard fact we're all going to have to face. But only through, not just doing the outreach, but just encouraging these vegan products and services as much as you possibly can is just so key. And if you've got the power, implement it, start doing it yourself. There's so much. What the coolest thing about this is all of the vegan businesses, they've got that common goal of, reducing and ultimately eliminating animal suffering, if that's possible. And that's a really solid foundation and the backbone of these businesses to go upon. So they're going to, if you have a new idea, all of these businesses are going to want to support you and encourage that to come to fruition. Cool. Yeah.
Because I'm the only vegan in my class.
Yeah.
And no one else wants to hear about what I have to say about it. So how do I spread it?
That's a tough one. So what have you tried so far? As far as when you
I've just tried stuff saying what's the difference between eating a dog and a cow or a pig or a chicken or something like that. There's no difference. They're both animals.
Yeah. So when you've been saying that, what's typically their reaction?
They
Do they?
just walk away
Yeah. That's a real tricky one, because again, you want to. I guess you just got to keep whatever it is, whatever your talent is. You just got to keep doing that, but advocating the vegan message within it. So if you're doing lots of sports and food and health activities, then advocate the vegan message through that. And again, because that's a really good safeguard. People will be more likely to be intrigued because they can see veganism as something that's actually beneficial to them. Again, speak to your teachers about it. I think that's a really good one. Speak to even your headmaster as such. See if you could have something that you could implement, like Meatless Mondays, at least like just small stepping stones within the curriculum. Because I can remember speaking to a teacher in one of my recent outreach events, and he asked the whole class, he said, he was saying something like, where do all the chickens come from? And this was secondary school, and a great deal of the class said KFC. And this is the level of what we have to deal with. So you have to start small. But yeah, I think teachers are probably your best bet, because they're the real beacons and the people of influences. So those teachers that are really cool, have really engaging classes, those teachers in particular are really, really important to have like an open discussion with about it, because they'll be more than happy to take the time. If that helps. Yeah.
I was just going to add to that. You could ask animal aid to do workshops for schools. You could ask maybe a teacher if they could ask someone to come from animal aid and have a chat. That would help kind of promote the message that you're advocating.
How do you like McDonald's?
Cool. Check.
At work, I don't talk to anybody per se. It's a little rule I have, because I don't want to be the guy who walks in the room and everyone goes, oh, he becomes a vegan guy. In the street, you don't really care what somebody thinks about you, so you can say anything, that you can do whatever it takes to get them vegan, but sometimes just living the way you live, like being happy and being healthy, can have a more profound effect than you think. A bunch of the people at work have said to me, oh, I'm trying out veganism now. I haven't said a word, but they know I'm vegan and they've seen how I live, they've seen how healthy I am. And sometimes it's enough. So if it is affecting you at school, don't feel the pressures to have to, take steps. Because it may isolate you as well. If the facilities aren't there already, don't push it perhaps. Just be you and show people how you live. Yeah, sometimes it's enough.
Or you could take in some delicious. Would you like some chocolate and, away to their hearts.
There's so much you can do outside of school as well. Pretty much on the weekends, come to these animal rights events, and again, whether it's helping out with animal charities, vegan businesses, doing things like Anonymous with the Voiceless. When people see that the future generation youth are into this, then you've got so much more leverage to view that in the public eye, and people's opinions should change a bit too. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Where do you hear about these events coming up? Because I'm signed up to lots of different groups like Greenpeace and all that, and I'm signed up to the activism groups. But I hear about the events after they've happened or whilst they're going on.
Okay. Which ones are you signed up to?
So I'm signed up to Peter. I'm signed up to Greenpeace as well. And I'm signed up to the activism groups. But I just don't get any.
I think a good starting point, I'd say there's two things you can do there. Probably one of the easiest ones is, again, Anonymous with the Voiceless. They update their Facebook groups. Contact this guy, because just link it up, search AV. Are you based in Surrey or? If you just type into Facebook AV Surrey, you'll get updates. We usually do it at least once a month, and that will be in and around Surrey, so Woking, Guildford, Leatherhead. And another thing which I recently just started doing is you find something you can do by yourself. So I set up this sign recently in Guildford with it says the background world, it's quite ambiguous, it's got a tablet attached, and it just draws people in. And then I can start talking about it, and they're the one asking questions to me. So we're in a golden era now where you can just experiment as much as you can with different methods of advocacy, and find something that you feel you can do really well and just pursue that. But yeah, Anonymous with the Voiceless, that's a good starting point to get a feel for it. Yeah.
For the girl over there, just to say that, you. I think you're brave and really inspiring, and when you're at school, to speak up feels really hard, and you might feel alone, but when you leave school, quite often you find your people and there might be you in every class and every school, and they might sort of feel alone, and you will find those people eventually. But also, you might already have sown a little seed in some of their heads. You can't see it yet. They don't know. But actually, you've probably put a sort of thought in their head, and you've probably already done absolutely loads. So
You will know. You will know.
Yeah, when I think about myself at your age, all I cared about was like ribs and World of Warcraft. Like I was not thinking about anything other than that. So it's really inspiring to see someone at your age like just do so much, and it's just keep doing what you're doing. You'll find ways to crush it in the future for sure. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Right, that wraps it up. Thanks a lot.